Somebody once told me the world is gonna throw me. I need the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking
kind of dumb
with her gander in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the deers start coming and they don't stop coming. Head to the rules and hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head hurts to go. So much to do, so much to see. So
what's wrong
with taking in the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine
if you don't
glow. Hey, now you're an
old fella.
get your game right. Car, leave. Now you're a rock star.
Get the
show down. Get paid. And all that glitter is gold. Only shooting stars.
Wow.
Oh, man. Hello there.
Hello there.
Kyle Catan here.
I'm a bit.
Joining you guys about 2 hours later than we normally do. Thank you, everybody that's able to join us at this different time. It's for a very special reason because we have a special guest all the way from Germany today. Yes, and so in our attempts to battle the time zones, it's early morning for him, a little bit later for us, but we made it work. All is as the force wills it, right?
All is.
We are talking about Robert Hranitzky, the creator of E-11 Standard Issues, excellent Star Wars fan film. Here's a little teaser for it right here.
Wichita Base, this is Postal Service Shuttle 209 approaching with a classified delivery. And here it is. It's the one thing we've been waiting for. This will help us to crush the rebellion once and for all.
Robert, how's it going? Welcome.
Hello, and good afternoon, good evening, actually.
Yeah, super evening. It's
And
9
good morning.
o'clock at
Good
night
morning
for,
to you.
For some of us.
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm super excited and can't wait to get started. And also thank you for playing that little meme or that little video. It cracked me up. That was, I didn't have a morning coffee yet, but that was like my visual morning coffee.
There you go. Yeah, get you some energy going.
you never really expect Smash Mouth to happen until it happens, and then you're just like, what the fuck is this?
Exactly. It's brilliant. I love it.
We're all rock stars.
Absolutely hilarious. Truly meta in its conceptual
absolutely
format and everything. It was fucking brilliant.
And for those of you who haven't actually seen the fan film, there is a link to it in the description of the video if you are watching the stream on YouTube right now. But that teaser we just played doesn't really do it justice. The teaser was very serious and kind of suggests almost a different stories being told. But it absolutely took me by surprise, and I don't think I've laughed that hard at a fan film in a really long time. So, absolutely good job.
Thank you. That was the idea, and actually that was quite a big debate on how to approach it in terms of what are you selling to the audience who are watching both the teaser as well as when they start watching the actual short film, is because it starts like an epic serious side story thing, right with the intro, and then we transition over to what basically is almost like a YouTube spoof or an unboxing and tech spoof. And so we were kind of worried, and my best friend Michael, my editor, he's also yeah, I don't know, maybe we should do like a cold start right with the box. And I was like, I don't know. And we were debating a lot back and forth on how to start and not to overpromise or underpromise.
Right, because you create expectations.
Exactly, yeah. So, but I was like, yeah, whatever. Visually, I think it's a strong intro, and it's also kind of the twist that we take the audience by surprise, that all of a sudden there's like this box. And I've been watching a few reaction videos, including yours, which I really, really appreciate and liked a lot. Because it's always good to see the reactions, and people were like, oh, okay, yeah, this looks kind of interesting. Okay, and then like, what is that box?
Yeah,
what?
Totally surprised.
you can see the surprise in their faces. It was like, what?
It's a very sexy box. Like I don't know. I don't know. It's something about the sleek industrialness of it. Not the black cardboard box, obviously, but like the inner box itself.
Yeah, no, the visual design was excellent. It was
box for some weird reason, but like, yeah.
Did you design the box, or was it just like a Pelican case that you found to get lucky? With the kind of thing?
It is actually like a Peli case ripoff, more or less. I was looking into getting a Peli case, but they're like so expensive in that size, and I wanted to keep the budget low, or the costs low, because I had to pay it all from my pocket. So I found this. I think it's a German company. They do those equipment cases, and they are reasonably priced. I mean, they're still. I think it was like, I'm not sure. I think it was like between 150 and 200 euros for the box.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Pretty much equals the dollar as of yesterday.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's weird.
So,
right. Yeah.
But that's another story. But yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that was somewhat reasonable for that. And then it had the foam stuff, and I could pull out all the little foam shapes so I can fit in the blaster, and added some marks and some Imperial stickers and fake buttons and stuff like that.
So I wanted to ask a little bit about first of all, the design looked great. It looked like you hadn't designed it and you just took it from Star Wars, like it already was a thing in there, but how much of that desk was physical, and how much of it was in fact like CG after the fact?
Oh, the whole desk is physical. It's all real.
Man. Oh man!
If we talk about desks, let me.
So it's just the background. It's just the background that was green screen, but like the whole physical, like actual.
Because you created in that environment like the dream Star Wars YouTuber setup, like in that little room.
So
this is very true.
That architecture.
Let me share my screen. I prepared a few things here for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Go for it.
Do you see my screen?
I do not see your screen. Give it a second, and a little thing should pop up. Oh no, not again.
Hang on.
This happened earlier. Oh wait, there we go. Yes.
Cool. All right. So
the gas now.
So check this out. Technically, the screen had to be the table had to be designed first. So basically, this is the design. I was during the pandemic. I was kind of like. It was like a coping mechanism to do that movie or that film.
That makes sense, actually. Yeah.
In essence, it was meant to be much simpler. I mean, same idea, same story, but much simpler and much rougher, and just get it out and get it done. And then when the pandemic hit, I had obviously a little bit more time at the beginning when all the projects were gone at first, but also when the anxiety built up, I was kind of like sometimes in bed just. Instead of doom scrolling, I literally started to study even more than before the design language of Star Wars, and how does the image look like? How does the Imperial corridors and the panels and all that kind of stuff look like? What's
Sounds
the
like a way better way to spend your time than
exactly. Yeah. So it was like schooling my eye, literally, and so I came up with this design basically in Illustrator. So this was designed.
I love the top panels,
but. Technically, it's designed the way so that it's A4 sheets on paper. Technically, I don't have one here. Actually,
sure. Dimensions wise, I get that.
So it's like this size, and I can print that out. So it's been 8 pages, as you can see right now. And those were put on foam board, which was then I punched holes into all the LED lights where they should go, and also cut out areas for the iPad where the iPad should go. And this is like the
Oh shit! Of course, it was an iPad. That makes so much sense. Oh my
Movie
god!
magic. I love it.
exactly. And this is basically the Droid port, which is sitting on the left side. If you're watching it, it was to my right side. And that is printed out on paper, and basically it's like a diaper pail canister. Back then, when our kids were smaller and still with diapers, this was left over. And like one long night, I was like, "This looks like something from Star Wars." And this is like a rice bowl takeaway lid that was spray painted.
Oh, awesome!
So this is
Oh my god! That's
cut up.
perfect.
I think part of why it felt so authentic is because you arrived at this process the same way the original Star Wars prop makers arrived at theirs, is by taking diaper canisters and rice bowl lids and random things and just cobbling it together. And look at that. It looks so good.
It's like a Star Wars speaker.
It's a Scomplink.
And then, of course, toothpaste caps, spray paint.
Oh, nice.
Damn, that is brilliant.
That's so cool.
That is brilliant.
So here you can see the assembly. So the desk is sitting right over there.
Oh god, I love it.
Yeah, and that's the cutout for the iPads. And that's actually the electronic plan where all the LEDs go. So I'm not sure, I think it's about 18 LEDs. And my dad helped me to do all the wiring, and he built the motherboard to control the intensity of the lights as the frequency as well.
Oh, awesome.
So there's about 5 meters of cable in there. And then everything was put on a wooden desk that was put on a real IKEA desk. Some ping pong balls cut out with some bathroom silver metal rings. I don't even know what they were called.
For the shower, yeah.
Yeah, like little shower turners. Yep.
Oh my god, that's amazing. And then you put the LEDs inside of those.
LEDs, and then the iPad.
It really is crazy.
So I designed all the user interface stuff in After Effects, like did all the animation and make it somewhat legit, but still abstract. And actually everything in Arabesh has a meaning. So if anyone wants to translate, go ahead. There's actually also a couple of Easter eggs hidden in there. So
see, this is the kind of stuff that I love right here, is the user interfaces of Star Wars.
God, look at
Like,
the
we're creating
screen.
stuff like this.
Look at that
It's the
screen.
best.
It's so amazing.
So yeah, there's been a lot, and also how it was made to look like it's from the 80s. So because I'm working as a motion designer, right? So normally you would try to make animations smooth and super sexy and ease and all that kind of stuff. And
right
here it's like all linear and jaggy, and nothing is easy.
It's very it's very Terminator-ish and like new cutting edge. Look at this new thing.
It's like very 1970s, like Tron,
It is very Tron. I fucking
Very
dig
digital.
it so hard.
Yeah.
And you know that was like part of the
super impressive.
not to spoil anything, but like I'm sure whoever sold the E-11 to the Empire, like just totally just like honey dicked them of like, oh yeah, amazing scope that fucking this auto targeting system, dog. This auto targeting system, it's gonna Bluetooth sync up to your helmet, and then like you
voice
get
commands.
Product, you fucking get the Wish.com product, and it's just like what in the Ruby's costume shit is like, yeah. It's just so good. It's just so good how the Empire kind of got ripped off there.
And that's a very good point, actually, because as you mentioned early on with the whole meta part, that was so here, like the idea popped up in 2017 when I was building my second blaster, actually. So I bought the Stormtrooper, I assembled it, and it was like such a big dream come true to me as a kid.
You bought a kit. You didn't buy a finished suit.
I bought it from a company called Anovos.
I know. Yeah, I know Novos. Yeah.
Yeah, and they I don't know. They disappeared. I mean, they still exist, but under a different brand, and they don't sell Star Wars stuff. So there might have been some issues. I didn't follow that. I just you know, when someone asked me like, where can I get the suit? I sent them the link and they were like, yo, there's no suit on there. I'm like, what?
I think they changed. Now they just do helmets or something.
Maybe, I don't know, but
they're still around.
But basically what you get is you basically get like a plate that has like a half, like the half mold of the arm section, right? So basically,
so you have to cut it out yourself.
You have to cut it out, and then depending on how much you cut it out. So basically, if that's one part and that's another part, depending on how much you cut out, you can shrink it or make it larger, so it fits your circumference from your arms and your legs. And basically, all those stripes that you have on the Stormtrooper are to hide the glue part, right? So basically, when you put that together and you put that stripe on top, that's hiding that little gap that might be there. So it was super interesting to see how it was conceived in terms of design and manufacturing process. And it's a film accurate costume from episode 4. So I built that suit. Then I built a blaster. It was like a Hasbro toy conversion blaster, which looks okay-ish, but it's not super film accurate. And then I bought
I know the blaster you're talking about.
Yeah, and then I bought a resin cast blaster from the UK, which is
nice.
Which is much closer to the real deal. I started to build it, and then one day when I was like building it and spray painting it and coloring it, I was like, how would you review that thing if it was real? You know, because in fact, I'm doing tech reviews for creative products, you know, like graphic tablets and monitors and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I know how weird it is to do reviews and unboxings, because like, who cares about that? But actually people do care and find it helpful and interesting, and I try to help the creative community with that. But at the same time,
it's a visual Yelp. It's a visual Yelp for a lot of things. Like, I've definitely looked up unboxing for certain products, definitely to like look to see if it's worthwhile for me to get said product or not. Or like, you know, to compare hand size, like when the Eye of Agamotto from fucking Hasbro came out, like I wanted to know the dimensions of that thing, or if it looked like,
this guy holding it a giant.
It's like cartoonish or shit. So it's like, it's like you learn a lot from.
Oh, totally. It's absolutely fair enough. But on the other hand, everything gets unboxed and reviewed. You know, like from the most bizarre and obscene things where you just go like, why would someone unbox and review that? And
I'm going to review these oranges from the grocery store.
Exactly. And then I thought like, okay, but how would someone review that in universe? Kind of like, how would a trooper review that? And then that was the idea, to actually do an unboxing. So that was the basic inkling of this is like the elevator pitch, like the 1 second or 1 sentence pitch, like a stormtrooper is unboxing and reviewing stuff in his universe. And then
it's such a good concept.
And then I started to write the script, and then I pitched it to Michael, who is much more advanced in script writing and knows more than I do. And we were building up a couple of gags and that kind of stuff. And then with this whole meta level, to come back to what I was initially saying with the meta level, is it's so funny because on a deeper level, I still want to tell like a story of the blaster, kind of like pick up that running gag of why troopers are not hitting. And I know there's like this debate of they've been told not to hit, or it's the force that is deflecting the shots. And I mean, it's all legible, right? I mean, and that goes back to something that I tweeted recently where I said lately a lot of fiction is treated as science, and a lot of science is treated as fiction, because I was like, yeah, it is my take on why they're not hitting. So I'm picking up something that exists in Star Wars, in the real Star Wars, but I'm trying to mix it up with current tech issues and tech experiences and YouTube spoofs and stuff. But yet
dude, the lack of Bluetooth between like the helmet auto target and the scope, like fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and I heard
challenges with that.
I heard there's spaceships where they even have to wear headsets, you know, with microphones when they're trying to target.
In such an analog universe, what were some of the challenges of trying to like recreate modern tech problems that you might see in an unboxing video in this universe that doesn't even have Wi-Fi? You know, like, was that a challenge at all? Coming up with similarities?
Actually not really, because I mean I try to be as true to the real Star Wars as possible. So make the screens, the iPads, what is playing there, look 80-ish from that time,
Totally.
in terms of design as well as animation. Make the lights and everything look like it is from that era, and of course the same applies to the blaster and a little bit to the UI. The UI that you see is a little bit advanced. It's still like linear animation, but
it's very Mandalorian in a sense.
It kind of works in universe that it's advanced, because there's this super advanced feature that never got implemented. That happens all the time.
Mandalorians are the only ones with legit targeting systems.
Well, that happens all the time here on Earth. Is that when a piece of technology comes out, like the fanciest version of it will have some really advanced technology that never makes it to the market because it's not viable for some reason. It looks a lot fancier because it was a lot fancier, but it also didn't work, so it kind of fizzled out. That's why I think the targeting system having a more advanced UI than everything else around it kind of makes sense. It was like the Zune of that moment,
Dude, totally. Oh my god, fucking Zune.
I'm sharing the screen here again to talk briefly about the targeting system stuff, and just let me know if that works, because I don't.
Oh yeah, no, we're seeing it.
So how much of this is practical versus like? Or
this is full CG, right?
Yeah, this is full CG. So this is actually the mouse droid sequence. So
it looks so good.
Thank you.
So clean.
And it's like a story in the story, because the mouse droid comes out like, "Hey, yeah, what's up, fellas?" And then he sees he's being targeted at, and he goes like,
"Yeah, exactly."
Like, "Oh, wait, what?
Droid,
oh, shit, I gotta get out of here." Like,
I'm out. Nope, bye.
Fucking 3 points.
And speaking of the targeting system, again, everything had to be designed, and I used After Effects for that. I used some reference that was existing. I don't think we ever see a stormtrooper looking through the scope or actually showing what you see. You have a couple of hints in Rogue One, a little bit in Mandalorian of how scopes can look. So I took a little bit of inspiration from there, a little bit of inspiration from Battlefront, and then I took my own spin to that and added a few details and also 2 crosshairs that never really align. So that's a little visual detail. So every time
it's so perfect. It's so perfect.
Every time he tries to move, it's kind of like lagging behind.
It's a total lag. It's a complete lag. Yeah.
No, it looks really authentic. Like it does make me think of the crosshairs from Battlefront, and it also makes me think of all of the different times that we see binoculars, because we see a lot of binoculars in Star Wars and not that many scopes.
Yeah.
Zam Wesell's rifle. That's what I'm thinking of. That also has the lag following when she's trying to shoot Obi down on the probe.
In the scope, it looks like he's hitting, but but in reality, when you look away from it, then it's like everything's completely fucking missed. So it's like that's also a really interesting take of like, oh, I thought I was hitting him, like it looked like I was hitting him, but it's like no, it's everything's fucking veering.
And that was super hard for this shot, especially when looking through the scope, kind of like, I mean, obviously you kind of know that he's not gonna hit because you expect that, but you're still intrigued. Like maybe he hits a couple.
Like, ooh, what's this fancy gadget gonna do at the very least,
Exactly, and then also design it the way that I mean, this is like the cut that you don't see in the short film because it's like the full length, but we cut out before we actually can see the little glowing things appear. So right now you can pretty much clearly see that he didn't hit anything.
Right.
Gotcha.
But also the smoke helps to add to that, and yeah, and then at the end it's kind of like it's so funny because
that I find visual effects wise that a lot of fan films overlook is that in the original trilogy, when those blasters are getting fired, the room like fills up with smoke. It is extremely smoky during a blaster fight, and then like they kind of reduced that a little bit in some of the newer films, but like I never see enough smoke in fan film blasters. This one had enough smoke.
But you know why?
Also, something that you guys did for a very split moment, which like we almost never see in the Star Wars universe, is you actually unfolded the rifle butt and like held it in the shoulder for a hot second during the montage, the opening montage. But like,
Unfolded the stock. Yep.
but like it was so like Jurassic Park when the hunter dude like undoes the shotgun butt while he's hunting the velociraptor, and you fucking did it. You actually like undid the thing, and it's like we never see that ever.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's cool, because I was always curious how it unfolded.
It's one of those things that's just sort of visually implied, but we never get to see it.
Yeah.
So here's some background info. I don't know how much you you know about that, but you know what? Hang on a second, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
He's gonna bring it. He's gonna bring out the blaster. He has it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
In
it.
the corner. It's hanging out in the corner. Calling it.
All righty.
Magnesium has a ton of smoke. It's true. Oh, there it is. There's the box.
God, I want a box like that to keep my fucking minis in, man. Like, that's just it's so cool.
So here's the box. And also there's a little Easter egg, like, what's in the box?
What's in the box?
You know which movie?
Yeah, 7.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. So here it is. I can't move my camera up without taking the whole set apart, but technically, it's pretty big. So
how heavy is it?
And heavy, yeah. It's about 5 kilos, I would say.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is hefty.
So here's the blaster prop.
What did you
and it's weathered, so it's kind of like, and you don't see that in the movie because initially it starts, actually you do, but it starts like super shiny and like out of the box.
A lot of
progress within the short film, it gets scuffed and used a little bit. So that's why it has all those little actually let me zoom into that. You see all the little,
look at that detail.
All the things. Yeah, no, all the edge highlighting. Yeah, I fucking love it.
Yeah. So that's been weathered after the fact, and I had to make sure that that this is kind of like, okay, everything is wrapped before fucking it up because we can't go back. So a little bit blaster history. So technically, this is based on a Sterling gun from World War II. It's a British submachine gun as a basic element.
I have heard that before.
Masters did, and this is some Star Wars history lesson here. I'm sorry.
No, go
so
for
this is a scope that doesn't make sense at all because it's like a tank scope, as far as I know. These parts here are some electronic parts that were just glued on, no real function. Those pipes, and that part here, the box here, is what is called like an impulse counter. So basically, you put in the electric parts here, and you can see the numbers here. I need to.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I see it on the side there. Yeah.
Hang on. I didn't plan for this, so that's why.
Thank you so much.
So you can see the numbers here, right? They're at 0.
Yeah,
but you can reset them here with this thing, but they will go up. They will count up to whatever digits you can go.
Interesting.
And then you will basically you can count like how many things you are printing or you putting out or whatever. So that doesn't make sense either in terms of like
how many rebels you're shooting.
It was just glued on there from the prop makers. And then you have the rail, which is also not accurate. Like doesn't make sense, but it had to hold something. And then, of course, you have those things here, those heat pipes, the rods here.
Yeah.
So they were also glued on. Usually they wouldn't be there. And then, of course, you have the stock that you can unfold. To put it there. And this part, I mean, this is like a solid part. This you could unfold and have it as like shoulder stock.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work for this prop, but you can unfold it at least. So because in the comments people are writing like, hey, why don't you unfold the stock? And I'm like, yeah, I did actually, but I'm too stupid to use it. And also
it's so fascinating to me that Ralph McQuarrie basically designed the E-11 as it was later recreated, just like he sketched it out, and then they found pieces in the real world to like recreate his sketch.
Yeah. And I wonder if he intended. One more thing I want to add is because in Rogue One they started to add those lights, right?
Right.
Oh, for the Death Troopers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
those
they added,
tactical lights.
well, also on the E-11s on the for the stormtroopers too. Yeah,
Exactly, and I found the very light that they're using. It's like a tactical light.
oh, perfect.
So I'm putting that on in a couple of shots, so to kind of like bridge the classic E-11 with the newer Rogue One and Mandalorian E-11 blaster. And one more detail that is kind of interesting. So for example, this is like the magazine.
Yeah, that's what I figured it was.
Yeah,
And this is like the thing, and
the
this is like
cartridges.
magnetic. So basically, you don't see that in the movie, but this I can let go, and this will just like snap in, like.
And that's a very custom detail, because I'm pretty sure the replicas that you can get don't have that functionality.
No, they don't.
That's
And
extra
also,
cool.
So to come back to the original idea why I was pulling this out was with the smoke, right?
Right.
So because this is like an existing Sterling submachine gun replica, but in a non-functioning plastic thing, right? It's not a real gun, and
right.
But for episode 4, they were using real guns with blanks. So they were firing actually blanks, and you can see in a couple of frames, you can see the shell being ejected. So that's why there's a lot more smoke in the original, because it is real smoke from a real firing.
Because the smoke, it really adds like something visceral to the otherwise very just like touch and go laser gun fight. Seeing the smoke and the sparks and like people getting scorched really made it something more intense about it. There was a comment in here a second ago saying that they must have been using those squibs, before squibs, using magnesium pellets, which I think is going to be, magnesium has a ton of smoke in it, so that makes a total sense as well. It actually reminds me of a classic YouTube video, Too Much Magnesium. Have either of you guys seen that before?
No.
Couple, I think he did one with aluminum as well, and it like exploded out.
Hi there. This is All Seer. I just
man likes his fireworks.
Experimenting with fireworks.
What the fuck is he doing in his kitchen?
He's in his little house here.
The mixture.
Oh god.
With sulfur, and I'm using some potassium magnesium. So I'm gonna light this, and it should just sparkle a little bit.
We fucked up with the sulfur.
Actually, I think I'll turn the light out so it shows up better.
Yeah, that's a good idea, old man. Turn the light out.
Okay,
I have a bad feeling about this.
Only good
You
things.
should have done it with like one of the extendo lighters, you know? Not a fucking match right close to his face.
Here goes.
Holy smokes. A little too much magnesium, I guess. I won't do that again. Sorry about that.
I love how like shakily he like gets up, like he can barely.
Oh, it's hair. Bro, he got scorched.
Yeah, so no real pyros at all in my film. It's all digital, so
Probably for the best after seeing that one.
totally.
Yeah, homemade pyrotechnics never. They 75% at the time work. Maybe.
Ah, that's crazy.
Maybe
Little bit
15%
too much
of the time they
magnesium.
work. But yeah, it's so great. It's so great. They also the fact that your trooper uses the fucking little lightsaber kyber crystal shard as a box.
Oh, that's a great little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Actually,
And then on Twitter, when you put out like kind of the what's it called? Production design. Yeah, the production design video. How you like did it with a scalpel and then you just overlaid the things on a fucking like regular box cutter scalpel thing. It's like excellent.
Let me try to find that. That little clip, because it's actually funny because that.
It was cool.
No, it's not here. Hang on a second.
Don't worry. Yeah.
The idea that if you were to have anything bigger than like a little box cutter of a lightsaber would, obviously
While he's gone, did you know that Ewan McGregor and R2-D2 had a hardcore beef on set.
So
you know
here's
that?
a little prop
Which
box.
Obi-Wan and
Obi-Wan, right? And he was meant to say, right? And instead he said, and thought that like none of us would know it. You don't talk droid, do you?
The incident with Obi-Wan, played by Scottish actor Ewan McGregor, was symptomatic of a deeper problem.
If he had his way, he'd have Ewan's part. And I think Ewan kind of knows that.
The other day he said, "Out my way, you Scottish wanker," to Ewan.
No, R2's changed. I mean, it's, you know, he's not the same droid. He was actually quite humble when I found him.
He slags off the other actors. I know that he always slags off George.
As time went on, the problems deepened.
Sometimes he comes to the set and can't even remember who he is.
There's been rumor that he likes to drink.
I think there are times that, you know, he might use a little too much oil.
oh my god, I can't believe they
True.
actually fucking did that. That's amazing.
It's
That
canon.
is
They
hilarious.
all collectively made this shit talk video.
R2's changed, man. He's changed.
Damn.
Changed.
You heard it from George.
That's, yeah, you heard it from, yeah.
So look, I have my little prop bag here. Or prop
Oh, nice.
box. So
Hey, you got the same light control that I do. You got one of those in there, yeah?
Yep. So a little bit more detail in a second. So this is the thing here.
The Scomp Link, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks so
yeah,
good.
It's good to label and number that shit. That way you don't.
It's
lose track.
because it's made of junk. That's why it looks so authentically Star Wars.
And then that's that. Actually, let me just.
Oh, the box scanner, so good. It's so,
Yeah.
that is
Toothpaste lids.
so funny.
So and then
Shower rings.
and in there you don't see that now, but in there is a light like this. And this can be remote
Okay.
controlled, so the actual holograph light really lights up in real.
That way
obviously.
you have a frame of reference of the.
Well, and
Oh,
also so you have an ambient glow on the white armor of the stormtrooper standing in front of the holograph, right?
That too,
Exactly.
Yep.
Object source lighting. There we go. Yeah.
Yep, that's what it's
And
called.
then a little detail for that is that this is the knife, and
That's
this
so funny.
this goes in, and I can screw that in, so I can
Oh
use
shit! And then you just overlaid the like.
yeah, exactly. So I can
That's
use
so
this
crazy.
as a light up effect, you know, like this is similar to the shot that I have. And this is with this in, I was cutting the box up for real. And little fun fact, I was experimenting with this. I don't know if you can see that quite.
Yeah. It's were you trying to do like the original like lights on a rod episode 4
Exactly.
style saber blade? Nice. That's
Exactly.
awesome. That's
So
so
I was looking into how they did the light with the original trilogy, and actually the episode 4 that was only. So they had little rods that had this M3 or whatever it's called, the reflective tape.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And this I do know about, and they were actually rotating. The blades themselves would rotate. They were mechanical.
Yeah. So when I try to do that with my phone, hang on, let me see if I can replicate that effect with the light. I don't know. Does it carry over?
Kind of.
Not.
Yeah.
I
It
do
has to
understand
be-
the effect you're trying to create, though.
It has to be exactly the light has to come exactly from where the camera is, so that it's reflecting back from the angle. And that caused a lot of trouble because it had to be super bright and it was illuminating the trooper way too much. So we scrapped that idea with using this, but I kept it. So, but it was fun.
There was a shot in the duel between Obi-Wan and Vader in episode 4 where Obi-Wan's saber it looks like it's shorting out.
Mhm.
And that's
true.
because they were using
Because
the
it's
original
just the
Roto saber and
angle-
it just couldn't keep the
The
shine.
angle of it. Yeah.
But before they went back and fixed it with the special editions in 1997, George, fast talker as he is, had some line about how Sith sabers used an unstable crystal, and one of the things it could do was short out its opponent's blade, and that's what he was doing to Obi-Wan in that moment. And
Interesting.
like the man has an answer for everything, even
Yeah,
if there's
of course he has.
inconsistency. It's like, oh well, yeah, I use parsec as a unit of measurement, as a unit of distance instead of time, because they traveled close to a black hole during the Kessel Run, and it bends time and space. Like, man's got
Of course.
answers for everything.
It does.
So impressed with the creative process of making all your props. So innovative, inspiring. How much of the sets and backgrounds were practical as well? Did you build any walls? Any like? I know the desk is all real.
Yeah. So let's get to the walls, but we can't talk about walls without talking about lights, right? So
Absolutely.
First of all, thank you for the kind comment, Heather. Really appreciate that. Let me share this with you briefly. Actually, hang on, that's the wrong slide. Lights. Here we go. So one idea was to, like, I knew exactly what I wanted in terms, and it's funny because that's one of the few films that I did in terms of both commercial work as well as art, where it was so clear from the get-go in my mind. Like it was playing in an endless loop in my mind, like from the first idea. Like I know exactly how it was supposed to look. It was,
and that's your guiding star, you know, when you have a fully formed idea in your head like that.
Honestly, it was like, oh my God, it's there. I mean, don't you see it? Like, what the hell? You know, it's kind of like, it's here, you know. And then
true inspiration. That is.
I just had to like, you know, like just let it out. Basically, just like open the vent and then just kept flowing out. That's how I could describe it. And one of the ideas was to have the correct reflections on the armor because it's highly reflective.
Right.
And in order to be able to put the trooper into the CG world, so yes, the desk is real, but everything that is behind the trooper is always CG, computer generated. So I knew that I had to get the reflections right, and that's why I started to design that stuff in Illustrator first, like the pill shape design as well as the parallel stuff. And again, this was printed out on paper and then cut out with just
foam board.
You know, scissors on black paper.
Oh man, just by hand creating identical shapes. See,
yeah,
that's the part that I would struggle with the most right there.
Yeah, it took me, I don't know, it took me forever to cut that out. It was really, really painful. Literally painful for the fingers.
Oh yeah. I'm left-handed, and I always use right-handed scissors because I'm a fool who just never goes out and buys lefties. And so like I know that pain. I know that pain.
But this is like the first test, like switching on the softbox with the mat on it, with the light mat.
Oh, it looks so good. Reflecting like that.
I mean, even that was just like,
wow, okay.
I was mind blown. I was like, all right, got it. That's it. Fuck yeah. So, and this is actually not the helmet that I use. This is the Rogue One helmet that has, there's another little detail. I don't know if you guys knew, but probably you knew, but you know, the armor has been changed from the new to the old, actually from the old to the new. So the blue stripes here and the teardrop under the eye, they're like really carved and it's like a physical shape. Whereas
they're more indented, yeah.
Original helmets, it's just a sticker basically.
I thought it was just a sticker, yeah.
It's a sticker in A New Hope, and then in ESB, it's a black sticker, I think.
Yeah.
It changed the color at some point, or maybe it's it's the black mouths in Return of the Jedi. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, the nose part was turned black, I think, in Return.
That's what it was.
So here you can see a little breakdown of how it looks like with the reflections, because I knew on the left there was supposed to be a light.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, you've got a little reference light for the blast of the. So he has a little bit of a red. What is that called? Is that a specific?
It's just a flashlight. It's just from photography.
It's just a regular LED.
Yeah, it's like an LED flashlight for photography that you can use in strobe mode as well as continuous light, and you can remote control it. So my friend Chan, who was operating the camera, he was directing me and we wanted to sync up the trigger pull to the light, and sometimes it didn't sync up, and he was. At one point, he was counting like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and at the end, he was just like going like pew pew. We were just trying to sync it up as good as we could, but at the end, it helped tremendously because it gave us the light reflections that we needed. And if you combine that with the CG stuff, you get something like this that looks okay in terms of how it integrates. So yeah, hang on. Let me go
Even
to...
as painstaking as it was to cut out all those little panel shapes and to set up those lights, it would have been more painstaking to add CGI reflections onto his armor after the fact, right?
Oh, don't get me started with
like
that.
it was still the better option, even though it was so much time with scissors in your hand. Like,
you know, there's this saying like, oh, we can fix it in post, which everyone that works in post kind of hates, because technically these days, yes, you can do literally everything. Even when you're not ILM, technically you have so many tools at your disposal that you can use to create literally everything. But it's just a matter of time and effort and how much time and money you want to burn, basically. And just because
you know who says fix it in post? Pre-production. That's who says that.
Yeah, that's true.
So this wall though is CG though.
Say again?
The wall that we're currently looking at for the review room, like this part was green screen though.
Yes,
Foreground,
exactly.
surface, and trooper are the only real things in that shot, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, exactly. So this was what I had in mind in terms of silhouette. I wanted to have, because it's funny because the statistics show like 35% of the viewership is from mobile phones. So my guess was right. I wanted to have a silhouette that is really strong, even in a small scale, so you can distinguish. And you can make
easily
out
part of the meta. You have to do some sort of a mobile overlay if you're doing like making fun of unboxings, because everyone watches those on like you said, on their phones.
Exactly. So all the background is CG, and this was all the panels had been designed in Illustrator. So basically, I started to draw that up, with a tool that I'm very comfortable with, and then I put them into Cinema 4D, which is a 3D application that I use. And once you have that in Cinema 4D in the 3D tool, you can extrude that into the Z-axis basically. So you're giving it depth, right?
Fleshed out, yeah.
Yeah, and then you can also spread it across, and you have to do all the beveling on the edges and stuff like that, so that it's not so clunky. And then I took it to Substance Painter, which is a tool that allows you to work in a 3D space and paint in 3D space, basically. So
that's
for
fascinating.
Example, so this is the corridor part, and it looks at the edge break, at what angle does the edge break?
That's gorgeous.
And it can also give some edge wear to that. And of course you can also go in manually and paint the edges as much as you want to give it some more weathering. Or take away some weathering on edges, where people might not bump into more. The same goes for the scratches. They're horizontal on the slide on the blast door, because obviously it's sliding left and right. So it has horizontal scratches and no vertical scratches. So it's like a painstaking process, but it was so much fun. And here you can see the blast door and the bespoke horizontal scratches that are reflecting.
Yeah, it looks like an incredible program. I've never even heard of Substance Painter before. This looks like an invaluable tool if you're trying to create CG environments.
Yeah, it's the same tool that ILM uses a lot for the SCG stuff as well. It's Adobe.
Is it
Substance
freeware?
Painter.
I can't imagine it's freeware.
No, it's not freeware. It's from Adobe now. It used to be like a standalone product.
If it's from Adobe, that's the opposite of freeware right there.
Yeah, so but it's I mean they have a bundle where you have Substance Painter and Substance Designer and Substance Sampler, where you can actually take photos of stuff and you can make them into textures.
That's so
cool. It's really fascinating, and it was again this tool. I didn't know this tool 2 years ago, right? Again, this was a tool that I learned during the pandemic because my friend Chan recommended it to me. He said, nice. Hey, if you want to do good textures, learn that tool. And I was like, okay, let's go. So I got Substance Painter and I put in like the first object, and I was blown away by it because it was so much fun not just only to learn a new tool that helps me in my paid projects as well, in my creative process, but it was just so much fun to learn a new tool with a meaning, like with a goal to it. It's not like, oh yeah, you just watch a tutorial and you just learn it, but
it's more than just an exercise.
Exactly, it's more than an exercise because I had a specific goal on how it had to look.
God, look at that metal shimmer. That's fucking incredible.
Panel right there. That is one, in my opinion, one of the most iconic pieces of set design in film history. Is
absolutely,
the Death Star
and there's
wall.
very little.
Anyone can notice that.
And there's very little reference out there that you can pull from. So I had to press pause on A New Hope. I don't know how many times just to see the panel right, how it looks. So I had to use a little bit of imagination, because there's so little reference. How big was it? I think, to me, I built everything in Cinema 4D in world scale. So if you calculating reflections and light, the physics of the light and how quickly the light falls off, it's like the inverse square fall off ratio. So that means it's the same in photography, that the closer you are to the light, obviously the stronger it gets, but the farther away you go, the stronger the light falls off, which sounds pretty obvious, but there's actually math to it. So it's not a linear fall
how
off.
much light is changing. Yeah, the percentages.
Exactly. So I had to use all that to make it real world scale. So I think it's 2.20 meters or so, or 2.30 meters, something like this.
It's pretty tall. Pretty tall wall.
Yeah, or 2.40. I don't know. I have to look it up, but it was pretty tall. Then there's some variations to that, and also like the double trapeze thing. Of course, the lights.
There we go. That is so imperialistic. It's so imperialistic.
And this can be switched. This can be put on upside down. And once I had that, the good thing was everything was built so that I can just scatter it across. So very easily, I can just distribute. I had 5 elements, so I could distribute those 5 elements very easily between a room and build a room quite quickly once this was done. So basically, it's all that, and this basically creates that room that you can see where the trooper sits. This is like the first draft where the room was a little bit more narrow, so too small. This is the back view of the shooting range. Some details of the wall panel. So again, this is something that is kind of like a crossover from A New Hope and Rogue One, because this panel is based on what you see in Rogue One, roughly. And in A New Hope, they had those clunky pipes in there that actually showed up in Kenobi, if you noticed, on the wall.
Oh yeah, I totally know what you're talking about.
Those wall panel door controller knobs, whatever it is. But I like these. I like these better. So it has blinky lights, and obviously everything that blinks is kind of cool. So that's why I use that. And why
that creates more light in an environment like that, it's always like a cool addition.
Especially if you blur it up, because you get that nice little bokeh effect.
Totally.
So if you I mean, I don't know if you're interested, but we can carry on with the shooting range since we're talking about CG sets.
Yeah, absolutely, please. It was such a treat, even though we got to see the environments for just like a split second, and that's also why it's so effective. Is because you don't linger on the shots. You don't spend enough time on a shot to let any of the details or potential flaws like shine through.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. And
realism, though.
And as for the shooting range, it was kind of like. So initially, I thought, okay, going back to the original idea of what I said of how detailed and how good the film should be visually, was like, oh, let's do it like quick and dirty. And then pandemic hit, and I was like, all right, let's do it in 4K instead of HD, and let's do it more detailed.
We have the time, just do it right.
We have the time, kind of like, and then it snowballs from there, because once I started to do the detailed backgrounds for the main room, I was like, okay, holy crap, it has to be. We need another set, which is the shooting range, right? So one of the secrets to make short films as visually as interesting as possible with little budget is to keep the world small, right? So for example, try not to have too many sets, don't have too many exteriors and all that kind of stuff, but make it like maybe 1 or 2 locations. Then you can really focus on them. On the narrative as well as the visual language, and then that's why That's why I spent so much time on that. But then again, it's a second set that I needed, which is the shooting range. I was like, oh my god! And we initially planned to do that in After Effects with Element 3D. So my friend Max was doing the first run at the design of the corridor, and we kit bashed it from different 3D elements that we had. And apart from the lights, it didn't have the visual language that I was looking for.
I see. I can see what you mean. It's not. It's a Star Wars environment. It's not necessarily a Death Star environment.
Yeah, it's lacking something. And then I was like, and also it became sluggish in terms of performance, because the more you add, the slower it gets in with that tool, at least for us. But then I thought, you know what, let's do it completely in Cinema 4D. Let's redo it from scratch. And then I started to build custom panels. Used some of the existing panels, made it larger. And then first it was one target, and I was like, hang on, how do those shooting ranges look like? So I was doing some research online, because I don't know how they look like in real, like properly look like. Of course, there's like a target, but like how does it look when you look closely? And then I found like, okay, it should be more than one target. It should be actually 5 targets, because there might be different troopers that are practicing at the same time, because we never see shooting range or troopers practice their aim, because they probably never practice. So this had to be built, and I knew that I wanted to have little cubicles where they are standing and shooting, and so it was designed so that it actually could work. So it had like a rail system where you have all the targets lined up, and this is still with the one target shooting range. But this was then widened up in width.
And you just copy pasted that rail assembly across.
Copy pasted that, exactly. So this is a mix of kit bash stuff from Video Copilot 3D pack.
Do you use any reference photos of like real world locations, like actual shooting ranges? Since like you said, we don't actually ever see one on the Death Star.
Yeah. I did. So let me see if I can.
Well, that would explain the back wall being angled, droid. I love it.
Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, so I was Google image searching a lot of stuff, like everything that I could find, and again, references everything really.
That's taking a true professional approach, and I have to say, like you used the phrase before, nothing about this fan film felt quick or dirty. Like it was, so you could tell that it was a painstaking production, and so much effort and thought and like time and energy went into it. Learning that it was like a pandemic project, it makes so much sense. Makes so much sense, because that's exactly what you do with like all of this energy and skill and nothing to put it into, just that's like throw everything into this. And I'd say it paid off, because excellent fan film.
Thank you.
Oh, cool.
You,
okay.
So yeah, this is my reference board that I put together.
So shit! Just like, the wall is angled like that. Weird.
Yeah. So it's probably to deflect the bullets, or I don't know. Like
it's to prevent ricochets, I think, from going directly backward.
Yeah.
So this you can see more or less in this thing as well. Especially in the back where it's also angled, and So this is how it looks like. Actually, we can fly through, and this is built as a 360 set. So basically, I can put the camera wherever I want, and it will look good from every angle. Believable, at least.
Awesome.
Damn, boy.
Yeah, just having the little flashlight with the red on his armor. Oh, you could see it for a second there.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much more authentic feeling. Yeah, something about having actual lights on set. It just changes everything.
And it's so funny because like one of the funnest shots was when he is finished shooting and his putting down the blaster, and then the smoke comes out. So the story with that was like, okay, how are we going to do the smoke? We can simulate smoke in 3D, which kind of looks real. Depends on how much effort you put into that.
Right.
But then my friend Max had the brilliant idea to use his to use a vapor basically to blow in steam or smoke or whatever it is, and then quickly go out of frame, and so blow it into the barrel and then go out of frame, and then when moving the barrel, the smoke will go in and actually go out and disappear in the area, and it looks like the smoke is coming out of the blaster, which
that's amazing.
Which added such a nice touch to it.
The most useful
so much fun.
thing a vape has ever done.
It's true.
That's great though. That's oh man, I love knowing that. No, yeah. Oh, what is this? And the funniest part is having the target on the rail like a paper target, despite it being a hologram. Yeah, absolutely. That's like a nice like meta joke about the analog state of the universe itself. Easily could have been holographic targets, but no, we're gonna use paper because it's the Death Star.
Exactly, and
things are just a little bit old-fashioned.
Well, it's like, how would you be able to see if it's a hologram that you're shooting at? How would you be able to accurately see, like?
That's very true. That's very true.
What you're doing.
In fact, I was thinking of doing it as a holograph or a hologram, but then I just thought, like why not use like a proper illustration for that? And that was illustrated by a friend of mine, Mace Steuer. He that's his name. And he was fantastic in doing that illustration. It was based on a 60s real target. Like we have this grumpy guy, looking, aiming at you.
There was something kind of familiar about it.
And then you just put the rebel helmet on top of him. Fucking.
Yeah, basically, yes.
It's like the classic images that they used in like the 60s at like the police academy.
Exactly. Yeah, that was inspiration for that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been a fun journey, really, and to me it was like I said, like a mix of a coping mechanism, but also like a big learning experience because
completely.
I've been asked.
Your coping mechanisms are a lot more productive than mine, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean the Kyle Katarn YouTube channel really bloomed and blossomed during.
Yeah, the YouTube channel was kind of my pandemic project, honestly. So I know the feeling.
which is nice because. Actually, I knew about your channel before you did the reaction video, and I quite enjoyed your videos before, so I checked them out before. So I was following along, and I like the spirit and the positiveness, because you embrace a lot of different content openly. It's like it's good to have critique and to voice if you dislike something, which is fair enough because freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want, but that goes both ways, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think what I like about your channel and community is the positiveness and the positive vibes. And speaking of that, I was a little bit worried as well about the reactions, really, because here's what I did. I do have a YouTube channel that has about 4K subs on my real YouTube channel where I have tutorials and reviews and that kind of stuff. I was neglecting it a little bit during the pandemic because I have spent so much time on doing Star Wars stuff, and it's not monetized yet. And even if it was with 4K subs, I wouldn't earn a lot. So I do this in my spare time, and given with 2 kids and everything, spare time is really very precious and little.
Yeah.
So
don't have that much of it.
I focused mainly as a spare time project on E-11, finishing that up. And while doing that, I was like, okay, so how do I gonna launch this in order not to get in trouble with ILM, Lucasfilm, Disney, etc. So obviously the film is not monetized.
Right.
So it is not monetized. It will not be monetized. It will not be sold or put on demand or whatever. It's free to watch for everyone. But to be safe, because I am going to monetize my main channel at one point, but I wanted to have it completely, separate from my other channel. So that's why I created the sub channel, the TK41 channel, and this one is again unmonetized, and it started with 0 subs, right? So when I released the trailer, I was so happy to see that it had, I think, 14 views. I was like, oh my God, 14 people watched it, which is crazy, and it's so nice. And
you never know what's coming around the corner. You're gonna have thousands more following.
I never imagined to have. I mean, it's approaching 25K subs now, and it's approaching the 1 million views. So
That's awesome.
it's completely mind-blowing. I'm just super grateful for everyone that watched it and subscribed.
It can be hard to keep perspective when you're in the middle of a project and you're really like, you can get lost in the weeds and just be focusing on the details and the things that you wished you changed.
That's true.
And you have to put a lot of effort in to step back and kind of look at your work objectively and realize I did a good job here. But for all these people that are watching your video for the first time, they weren't alongside you for that process. They don't know how close you may have come to failure, this or that. They just see the end product and they're impressed. They think it's great because you did a great job, man.
Thank you. That's what I'm hearing. But to be honest, at one point there's this German saying, "Man sieht den Wald vor Bäumen nicht," which means you can't see the forest from the trees, or because of the trees. And I was so in the middle of it that I couldn't stand the jokes anymore. I was I mean, I was working on it for 5 years. So on and off, obviously, there were times where I didn't touch it for 6-7 months.
Oh, I know that feeling too. A band I was in, we spent 7 years writing an album, and let me tell you how much I hated those fucking songs by the time we finally got them recorded.
What do you play? Yeah. Do you sing or?
I sing and play bass. Yeah.
Nice.
Many years ago, though.
Okay. Well, I suppose that's a very similar feeling. Like when you're so in it, and then at first you are pretty convinced of the jokes and the gags and the story, and then once time progresses, you go like, I don't know, is it really funny and good? Do people really gonna laugh, or is it just like
start overthinking the hell out of it?
Yeah, and then by the time it was closing in on the finish line, and to be honest, I heard quite a few people saying like, "Wow, you're still going with this? Are you still gonna finish this? You really gonna wrap this up? I mean, are you really doing it?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And I'm not starting something that I'm not gonna finish. I mean, that's a base thing for me, for everything.
It's the trap that every creative has to try and avoid.
Really motivating, yeah.
Absolutely, but by the time I was releasing it, I mean, the numbers were super low. Obviously, with 0 subs, it's hard to get to get traction. And then I was also afraid of some of the toxic fans that are out there for sure. And it's a sketchy subject. Nowadays. It's a sketchy subject, I suppose. But to me, it was kind of like, I just have to believe that. I mean, I was expecting a lot more shit, to be honest, in terms of comments, and there's a few weird ones, few weird comments, but I appreciate them. Which, I mean, even a bad comment is something like, okay, he or she doesn't like it, fair enough, but at least they care and they looked at it and they can voice
exactly.
their
You're on their radar and you got their attention, for better or for worse. You reached them.
Exactly, but I expected much more. I mean, it's like it's less than a dozen comments from, I don't know, 2.5 or I don't know how many thousands of comments, which is I guess a decent ratio. But to be honest, the reaction that I receive is the best that I could hope for, because like if you break it down to what you want to do with any story, I mean, it's the same. I want to communicate as, I don't know, I watched your brilliant show with Todd the other day. He was on your guest, the production designer, and
that was great.
If you hear and see them talk about that, what they want to do, it's the same thing. They want to tell a story. They want to capture the audience. They want to entertain the audience. They want to, to make the audience forget the shit that is out there for a brief moment of time.
Yeah,
and
I feel like that was achieved. I feel like it told a story. It had a commentary and a meta way as well. Like, we learned the story of why the E-11s aren't fancy and why like all these features were wrong, and we learned the story of why you are proposing the stormtroopers can't shoot very well, which is also great. But you're also kind of making a statement about review videos and like who needs them, and like you're unboxing a damn blaster that everyone's going to be issued standard anyway.
Right.
So it's
that part.
It works on multiple levels for that reason. But
it's also like a different kind of joke. I never really thought of that until just now.
Your original intention of like, I want to tell a story, and then it turned into I want to tell some jokes, but also make a statement. But like the suggestion of that story is still there. Like there's still a beginning, middle, and ending to E-11 standard issues. So
and
pretty well done.
And like I said, when people react the way they react, either in reaction videos, see them smile or hear or read that they loved it and they enjoyed it. It's not it's not necessarily for my ego to hear that, to make me feel good, but it makes me genuinely happy to hear that they had a good time watching it. That's going back to original intent of
fulfillment,
telling a story, telling a joke, showing a film, making a film. So that's the purest show of appreciation. I mean, apart from it looks nice and this and that, but on a deeper level, it has to emotionally tell you something and make you laugh or trigger something. And at the end. And at the end, it was like one of the main motivations, apart from telling a story, was to inspire people as well in terms of the filmmaking process. And there's a lot more coming. I mean, we captured a whole behind the scenes stuff. I mean, we have hours of footage from how this was like basically a longer version of what I showed you right now in terms of background clips and breakdowns. Michael is working on a somewhat feature length documentary, if you want to say so, that can help any filmmaker or creative out there to pick this idea or pick that, or how did they do that. I mean, it's not like a learning video at all, but it's just like a glimpse into our brain, I should say.
It's a reference.
I didn't do it alone. So obviously one of the ideas was to help people out there to follow, chase a dream, even if it, I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's some kids that watch this that will probably land at ILM in 10 years or 5 years, stuff like that. And
totally, absolutely.
And if they do because of that, that's just brilliant, right? And
they'll see
it's not just Star Wars that inspires people. The fan films inspire people too in the same ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. No, it's been real fun talking to you. I can't believe you gave us so many awesome little behind the scenes treats and stuff. I feel like I learned a lot, not just about this film, but about like the fan film making process, which is entirely just like a wholesome cycle. And the fact that you're getting the positive comments on the positive thing that you've done, because you said it yourself, you can't monetize a fan film. When someone makes a Star Wars fan film, you know that it is the most pure celebration of their love for the source material, because you're not going to make any money on this. You're spending money on this. You're spending your time, you're spending your energy. And the only thing that you're going to get out of it is putting a smile on a fellow fan's face that watches this and thinks that it's cool or thinks that it's funny. And in a world that gets increasingly artificial as time goes on, like that's a very real connection. And it's becoming more and more rare, and so I applaud you and every other Star Wars fan filmmaker out there that is just like creating things for the rest of us to be happy about,
Right. Thank you.
And it's absolutely excellent. I love Star Wars fan films for this reason, and this reason primarily. Unless you have some weird ulterior motive to why you're making your fan film, like it's like, oh, he's making a fan film, this guy's all right. Like, that's my kind of fan right there.
And thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Kyle. And it's funny because originally it was meant to be like a one-off and that's it thing, right? I mean, I was this close of taking the desk apart and throwing
don't you dare.
Dude, I mean,
it's so cool. You gotta keep it now.
Because we also moved studios in between. It was shot in my old studio and I'm sitting here in my new studio. And I was really close to throwing it away, not because I didn't like it, but because it's just like so bulky and like I originally kept it because I was afraid of having to do a reshoot while working on it.
Would it count as making money off the film if you sold it as a prop? If you sold the desk on eBay after
I don't know, to be honest, but here's the thing: it's not for sale. Because I decided to continue, right? So that's the thing.
Are you gonna do a review of a thermal detonator sort of shit? Or
yes,
that'd be hilarious.
I'm not gonna spoil what I'm gonna do.
I don't know,
but there's more coming.
Yeah, there's more coming. Yeah, so
I can't wait.
Like one of the first things that people said, like, oh, this needs to be like a series, and Disney needs to pick it up, and I don't know what, and I wish that Disney would pick it up and would pay me money to do what I really love most. But it hasn't happened yet. So I'm just gonna continue on my own for now. There is so many ideas.
Have you had any official communication with Disney about your fan film? Like, have they been like, careful now, or do they even care?
So Yes, technically.
Oh,
They've seen
you're
it,
international?
at least for Germany. They've seen it and they like it, which is nice. And I had to get clearance because there's an article I'm writing for a German magazine. So it's gonna be like the top story in there. It's gonna be, I don't know how many pages. It's a lot of pages. Like,
Awesome.
basically what we talked about more or less in written form in German with even more images and stuff. And in order to be able to have that, to get that published, it needs to have clearance. So they sent that to Disney, and they said, yeah, it has to be specified that it's not from Disney and it's not from Lucasfilm. So, which is technically also kind of a good compliment. you have to tell it it's not from Disney. So
Disney's worried that people are going to think that it's their product because it has that level of production values. Like, that is totally compliment.
So
Totally.
yeah, we're gonna make sure that it's written, that it's. Sorry, say again. Sorry.
There's other fan films and other fan films creators we've talked to that have had to like walk that tightrope.
Well, we had to speak to anything to do with Star Wars. Lucasfilm wants to have either a hand in it or some sort of supervision. Like, we had to speak with Lucasfilm in order to have permission to interview Todd last week as well. We had to speak with Tracy to get that cleared.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, like I said, I don't want to hurt anyone or any business, but of course, I want to share as much as I can, especially about the creative process.
I think a lot of the individuals at Lucasfilm have no problem with fan films and with people taking fan liberties with Star Wars, with the franchise, but the legal department says they've got to do this, this, and this, and so they're kind of forced to make us jump through these hoops.
Yeah, of course,
because the lawyers say so. But like the people actually running the show are really on our side about this.
Yeah, I totally believe that, and it's funny because on like the first week because I released it May the 4th, of course, the stars aligned so that it could be released on that date, and I was hitting out tweets to different folks, and also tagging a couple of folks from ILM, like, hey, check this out. And there were some supervisors, and they kindly wrote back that they like it, and even Hal Hickel is one of the VFX supervisors there. He said like, oh yeah, and the Lucky Beach Boys, that's scary, haha, and stuff like that. So he really understood that little joke in there, obviously, because well, if someone understands it, it's the people from ILM.
Of course.
So that was nice to hear that they kind of appreciate that. And
yeah, it's got to be so validating. The people making Star Wars liked your Star Wars.
Yeah. So so like I said, I mean, initially it was like a one-off thing. I honestly never planned on continuing it because it was just so time consuming, and at times it was like a love-hate relationship because it was so much fun to work on it.
But now
it was also.
But now your set is built already. So,
exactly, and that's what I thought. I was like, okay, the CG stuff is there, the set is stuff, the props is there, it's like
everything's there now.
You've got all the assets. You're set, and now all you've got to do is come up with like a good workflow for churning out like episodes, if you will. And
exactly.
And after you've done 2 or 3 of them, you're going to have that script writing down to a science, and you're just going to become just
exactly. I mean, I'm collecting ideas like crazy for the last 5 weeks or so, or 6 weeks. I think 6 weeks ago I decided to carry on. And then ever since, I'm just piling up a little notes document on my phone with whenever I'm driving or looking at something, an idea pops up. I'm like, okay, just note it down. And I have so many ideas for stuff to be.
Well, I'll give you this one for free. This has been in my head for years. Royal Guard gets his cloak stuck in the elevator door and closes on his cloak, and then like rips his shit off. You heard it here first, Dork Troopers.
That's a good one. That's actually a good one. Yeah, it might involve a lot of CG or real sets because cloth and elevator. But yeah, it's a good idea. And yeah, but also I'm thinking of opening it up more to more people. I mean, although I did most of the post-production stuff alone on this film, I had help on the shoot. I had help on the editing side. The music was fantastically done by Peter Rice, just a great musician. You should check out the soundtrack. I mean, his take on that music side of things was just phenomenal, as well as Robin, who was voice acting the trooper. But they're all on board.
If you want to send me a bunch of links to everybody's like creative portfolios, I will include them in the description of this stream on the YouTube version of it. So those of you watching, check out the links in the description of this video to check out all these portfolios from all these awesome people, including audio, editing, composing. Sounds like a whole lot of talent came into this project. So that's awesome.
Totally, and they're all on board, so they all want to go with it. But also, I will try to open it up more to
thank you, Droid Herder. Thank you
to creative collaboration. But also, I want to take the process of learning stuff with a specific goal of creating something a step further, right? So just as I learned new software tools to expand my knowledge and my skill level, I thought, why not learn even more and broaden the range with production techniques. So I'm looking at virtual production, doing no green screen at all, but similar techniques as with Mandalorian.
This man is going to build a volume in his studio.
not quite a volume, but something similar. I'm looking at different techniques and technologies, and I have the right people to talk to. And also the 501st reached out. So
which is an awesome resource to have.
It's an awesome resource. So basically it was like, what, you need 10 stormtroopers? All right, that's fine. So it's crazy. And basically the sky's the limit now, really, what to do. I just need to find the time, which is
exactly.
Right now. I'm so busy.
Not necessarily stuck on lockdown anymore. It's a different amount of time you got to put
I'm so busy with stuff, so it's going to be a real challenge, but hopefully it will not take 5 years for the next episode to drop. So hopefully it will come.
Hopefully not, but even if it does, like, this is one that's worth waiting for. Like, the production values are high enough that I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't like a regular release. I don't think anyone would expect that.
Yeah,
with this caliber of production.
Thank you.
Because it was so good. I'm so happy hearing that there's more coming. No pressure. Take your time. But I can't wait. I can't wait for the next one. I can't wait to react to it. It's gonna be great.
It's fine. Thank you.
Are you gonna keep the whole name E-11 Standard Issues, or is it gonna be E-11 something else?
So no. So it's gonna be, and it's funny because initially my channel was called E-11, like the film, and one of the reaction videos was I don't know what the name was. My apologies, but it is linked in my playlist, reaction playlist. The guy with the beard, super funny reaction video, really genuinely honest. And he said, the channel is named as the film, so I suppose it's only like the film, and then nothing is gonna come off from that anymore, and that's why people are not subscribing. I was like, holy shit, he's right. I need to change the channel name, and then
thank you, random bearded guy.
Thank you for that. I think is it Star Wars Santa? It might be Star Wars Santa. I think that was his name. Now that I think about it.
I'm gonna look him up.
But yeah, he mentioned that, and I was like, yeah, actually, right. I should change the name. So I changed the name from the channel to TK421 Finest Imperial Reviews, which is kind of hinting at that there's more to come. So it's gonna be like, MKBHD or iJustine or iPhone Do or whatever. I mean, like all those guys and gals gave me inspiration in terms of reviews and unboxing, and also fun fact with the knife, because they all have super fancy real knives to slice open their packages.
That's always part of it. I really appreciated that was part of the fan film, because they always have a little tool.
That was the idea to create the mini lightsaber, right? Because I was like, oh yeah, you got a fancy knife? No, I've got a fancy knife, right? So yeah, so that's it's gonna be like an intro that is, TK421, like going like unboxing this, unboxing that, and
excellent.
It's gonna be a mix.
Every once in a while, every couple episodes, he should get interrupted mid-video by like the sergeant or like the officer. It's like, what are you doing down there? Get back to your post.
Oh, there's gonna be
during his
interruptions.
off time,
Okay, good.
Totally during his lunch break, sort of shit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
we got a strong union, those stormtroopers. They got long lunches.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot coming. So I can't wait. I'm actually happy again, and also thinking about how happy it made it. Was kind of my happy place. I was joking, like with my studio mate Max here. So when we were working on commercial projects, obviously I had to pause the E11 work. But whenever we were rendering or whenever there was downtime because we were waiting for feedback or something, I continued working on E11. And for the
happy place.
For the last 3 months, I was working full-time on E11, pausing my commercial projects. But before that, whenever E11 was on screen and Max was coming into the studio, I was like, oh yeah, Robert is in his happy place again. So it's kind of like, it was like a running joke.
It's so good. Yeah.
He's sitting at his Death Star desk. He's in his happy place.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, if I had a desk like that, that would be my happy place too. Totally get it. Well, I cannot wait, man. It sounds like E11, the sequel, is the main thing in the future. But if there's anything else that you are working on that you want to tell our nice Dork troopers in the chat about, this is your opportunity. What else you got going on?
Give us a plug.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of commercial stuff I'm working on, like for, product videos and art films and that kind of stuff that I'm not really allowed to talk about.
Sure.
But I'm sharing all that stuff on my Behance channel, where there's also a nice little visual breakdown of how E11 was created, and there's more coming on Behance.
Nice.
And that's what I do mostly right now, but also script writing for all the new episodes that are hopefully will come out sooner than later. But that's basically it, what I'm doing right now. I'm really trying to focus on getting my commercial work back up again, because there's been so much stuff piling up recently.
Sure. I think it feels like the whole world is playing catch up right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good description of how it feels. It's quite that. Then I'm gonna bunker in August to watch Andor, and then see what inspiration will come from that as well.
That's next
month.
Right.
You're gonna be paying attention to all the walls and corners and control.
Oh yeah. I'm watching.
That's great.
I keep forgetting that's next month. Yeah.
It's
viewers out there, stay tuned.
And also, even more importantly, before Andor, Light and Magic is coming out.
Oh yeah, right.
The 6-part documentary about ILM, and I am really looking forward to that. That's going to have some really cool little, maybe not necessarily technical know-how, but a whole lot of like historical information about how it all came to be, and I'm very excited to watch that. So
totally, yeah.
We're going to be reacting to that right here on the channel, so everyone can stay tuned for those reactions. Full lengths will be on Patreon, and then the YouTube version as well. You know the drill. Nerd Chronic does those for us, and he does an excellent job. Yes, he does. Robert, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really fun interview. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk to you about your fan film more. We got to have you back on the podcast as soon as E11-2, E2, we'll call it, is on the horizon. Like, you got to come on, tell us what to expect. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Thank you, Bendu.
Absolutely.
Thank you, all the viewers.
Thank you for your creativity.
Thank you for watching, everybody. We've had a really good time tonight. And thank you for staying up a little later than normal or getting up earlier, depending on what continent you're on.
Yeah.
Catch us every Tuesday, normally at 7 PST, right here on Twitch and or YouTube and or Twitter, wherever you happen to be watching it. We're everywhere. We're taking over. Thanks again. I'm going to play us out with another meme. And as always, may the Force
be with you.
Excuse me. Mr. Back.
Beginning to think you'd never come.
How?
Good to see you again.